Dear friend, I want you to pause for a moment. Take a slow breath, and ask yourself, have you ever felt that? Despite all the years you've lived, despite having a family, children, a stable career, there are still sudden waves of anger, or quiet sadness that you can't quite name, showing up in the relationships that matter most in your life? A passing comment from your spouse, a glance from your daughter, a remark from a family member can suddenly cut deep, leaving you silent, or pushing you to lash out, only to be followed by regret. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I react this way? Why can't I control my emotions? Even after everything I've been through, even as an adult who should know better. I once sat with a woman in her early 60s. She sat across from me, her eyes warm yet tired, her voice trembling as she spoke. I love my daughter. I want her to be happy. But every time she talks back, I feel my blood boil. And I end up saying such harsh words to her. Then I go into my room, close the door, and cry. I feel like a terrible mother. And I don't understand why I can't stop. We began our journey of shadow work together. In those quiet, honest sessions, she began to remember her childhood. She had grown up in a strict household, with a harsh, critical mother who constantly scolded and belittled her. That little girl inside her had always longed for a single word of praise. A warm hug, a sign of acceptance, but all she received were judgments. And so, she learned to stay silent, to obey, to hide her true feelings, just to keep the peace, to avoid punishment, to win a rare moment of her mother's approval. But you know, those hidden feelings do not disappear. They remain, quietly tucked away, becoming the shadow, the unseen part within us. When her daughter grew into a young woman with her own voice, her own opinions, her own moments of defiance, it felt to this woman as if she were once again facing her mother from the past. Her anger toward her daughter wasn't just about the moment. It was anger born from old wounds, from words unspoken, from pain that had never been seen or soothed. Shadow work is not about erasing these ugly parts of ourselves. Nor is it about forcing ourselves to be positive or be patient. It is the courageous journey of turning inward, facing those old wounds, and embracing the frightened, longing child within who is still waiting to be loved. I remember the moment she finally wept during one of our sessions. She looked at me and said, "My mother never apologized to me. She never listened to me. And I realize now, I am repeating the very same thing with my own daughter." That was the turning point, when she recognized that her anger was not her enemy, but rather a signal from the part of her that was still wounded and in need of healing. She began to change. She learned to pause before reacting. She learned to tell her daughter, "I'm feeling hurt right now. I need a little time to understand my feelings." She learned to sit down, place a hand over her heart, take a deep breath, and ask herself, what does the child inside me need in this moment? And you know what? Their relationship began to change. Not overnight, but little by little, as she found the courage to face her shadow. Her relationship with her daughter became softer, more genuine, and more connected. She started truly listening to her daughter, and her daughter began to trust her with her feelings. When you engage in shadow work, you are not just healing yourself, you are healing the relationships that matter most in your life. Because when you are still angry with yourself, you will find yourself angry with others. When you are afraid of rejection, you will react strongly whenever someone disagrees with you. When you still feel not enough, you will constantly find yourself trying to prove you are right in every argument. But when you begin to see your shadow, you will come to understand, no one else is responsible for filling the emptiness inside you. No one should have to carry the weight of your unconscious reactions. No one but you can truly heal the wounds within yourself. And when you heal, you begin to love without fear. You begin to listen without judgment. and you begin to express your needs without hiding or hurting others in the process. I know that shadow work isn't easy. It requires courage to sit with discomfort, to acknowledge the parts of yourself you aren't proud of, to forgive yourself for the times you didn't know how to do better. But I believe it is the most precious gift you can give yourself, and the people you love. If you have stayed with me until this point, I believe you are ready for this journey. You can begin in a small, gentle way. The next time you feel anger, sadness, or anxiety arise within a relationship, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, what is this feeling trying to tell me? What does the child inside me need right now? And if you found this video helpful, I invite you to leave a comment below. Share what you have realized, or share a story you have been holding inside. I read every comment, because I know that the moment you find the courage to speak, you have already begun your journey of healing. If you wish to continue walking this path together, please consider subscribing to this channel, so I can bring you more videos on shadow work, on healing, and on building relationships that are lasting, healthy, and rooted in true connection. Thank you for listening, and thank you for having the courage to begin the journey back to yourself.